So the idea when you're trying to be, when you think of stealth, right? The thing that you want, stealth can mean a lot of different things. It isn't one thing. Like an example, sometimes you want to be quiet, but it's okay if you're seen. And then sometimes you don't have to be quiet, but you can't be seen. And then there are times where you need to be quiet and not seen. Do you catch what I mean by that? So camouflage comes into play. The way that your body looks in certain elements comes into play. I mean, obviously the shoulder line in nature is a big deal. And we're going to talk about that later when we start doing Mokuton no Jitsu, Doton no Jitsu, all that kind of stuff. But if you look in nature, everything grows up. You see that? Grass grows up, trees grow up. Nothing has a shoulder line in nature. So if you're going to do camouflage, you have to cover up the shoulder line. Break up the silhouette, because nothing looks more like a human than a human. So, and a human sticks out like a sore thumb in that environment. Does it make sense? Okay. So you want to be able to do that. Now, one way to do that, I guess, you know, modern day everyone wears the camouflage and all that. But let's be real. If you wear a camouflage outfit, like you're going to run around being G.I. Joe and you jump out over there, probably still going to be seen because what you're wearing doesn't fit this environment. So a lot of times when you deal with like people who are snipers, you know, assassins, hitmen, things like that, they're going to camouflage themselves or conceal themselves using the elemental environment that they're in. So they'll use these weeds, these thickets, these flowers, and they'll do that to create an obstruction into the shoulder line so that they can be camouflaged. And those plants that they're using fits in the natural environment. You know what I mean? So a lot of times that's what they'll do. Even when they do like two-man shinobi teams, right? That kind of thing. They'll have one get in position to do the job. The other one will help camouflage them and cover up the shoulder line and help create this camouflage or this invisibility, if you will. And then they'll go on about their business. Like an example, think of a Yonin and an Inen. This is just a complete hypothetical. So if you have two men going in to do some sort of mission, you might have the Yonin, the one who's going to be out and about, disguise the Inen or camouflage them in the way that you know the target's going to walk by. So he's already got his long spear hiding behind a bush, camouflaged to hell, because he wants to be able to take that 6-foot spear and jam it into some dude that might be 4 feet outside the ridgeline. Did you catch what I'm saying? And he's already perfectly camouflaged in because the Yonin, his partner, camouflaged him into the targeted area, and then he goes on about the business. And then he's the one walking around and being seen. Like, that's an example of how things would have worked. Do you know what I mean? It's a different time period. The very first stealth step we're going to do is called Shinobi Ashi. When you do it, to be silent in any environment means you have to utilize your connection to the element. What do I mean by that? If you look at the ground that you guys are standing on, there's going to be spots that don't have grass. There's going to be rocks. There's going to be branches. There's going to be all this shit that's all around the ground, okay? If you see a spot that you can step, that you will not make a sound, that's where you need to step. Don't walk, oh, well, there's a bunch of dry, like, here's a bunch of green, and here, oh, look, that's just that's a crumbled up little old dead leaf. Let's just step on that. That's not smart. The idea with learning stealth is to also understand the foliage. Where can I step? How can I step? How can I move? And step on something or move my body through something that doesn't create noise. So that's one big thing too. Number two, you have to control your breathing. If you don't control your breathing and you hold your breath, how many times you guys done this when you're walking in the middle of the night? It's 1 in the morning, you want to get some pizza rolls, but you don't want to wake anybody up. So you're like, you know, you're kind of clenching up. When you clench like that, you're tensing, you're tense. When you're tense, you shorten your movement. Remember, you want to go toe to heel. So when you extend your foot, you inhale when the knee comes up, you exhale when the leg comes down. When you point your toe down, it's important you do toe to heel. The reason that's important, most people walk heel to toe. Most people, their gait, they put their foot down like that. When you put your foot down that way, all of my weight gets pushed through the hip and it transfers there. I have got all of my weight down. And then I transfer to the front. That's how most people walk. But if you want to be stealthy, you turn that. The reason for that is, if I put my toe first and I put a little bit of my weight, I'm going to transfer the weight by lifting the heel here as I place the heel down here. So as the weight goes down, I now transfer the weight. See how I move this heel up? And the reason, because if I do this, and I'm gonna make a big mistake so you guys can see. Let's say I take this. I miss that stick is right there. So I put my foot. I feel it. I then can move my foot away from it. My weight is 100% on the back leg. Now I'm on my toe, I'm leaning forward, and as I start to put my heel down, I have to transfer the weight. The weight transfer is important. The heel will then come up as this one goes down. I've now transferred the weight. At this point, get your center of gravity. Inhale, lift the knee. Exhale, put the foot down. Transfer the weight. Inhale, bring the knee up. Exhale, put the foot down. Transfer the weight. When you look at the step though, you're moving forward. Your hips, both hips are moving in the same direction that you see the target. So this does give you a limited view because you can't do this and then now I have to transfer my weight to turn and look. So when you're doing this one, it is the most basic step. It is the one that's probably the most quiet when practiced, but it gives you the most limited view in where you're going. Okay. So when we're doing Nusabito Ashi, we did a Shobi Ashi, let's remember, hips straight, toes straight. When you do Nusabito Ashi, you're crossing. The back foot goes like in this angle, right, like this, and the front angle, the front foot is gonna go at this angle here, right? Now, when you're stepping in a cross stance, you don't go on your toe first. You put on the arch, the outer part, the blade of the foot, and that's, you ease in that way. So if I'm here and I'm in this position, right, I'm going to step and I'm going to put this part down first, and then as I lift my heel up, I'm going to slowly put my foot. Then I'm going to push the foot out, point the toe, and then toe to heel like previous. But then the next foot, inhale up, exhale down, and I'm putting the foot here. And again, it's going to be on the side of the foot, and I lift. So this way, when you're walking this way, you want to make sure that it's in this manner, right? And you're pushing, and then you're pushing, and then you're pushing. And the idea is to constantly put your foot in the spots where you know you're not going to be making that much sound. Now I'm doing all this kind of thing. That's the idea.